will start?
No, yours first. Ladies first.
Okay. So, Hare Krishna.
For you, whenever you want to talk.
Actually, Vatsal Prabhu is the oldest among us and has had more devotional service under his belt than any of us. But he is a perfect gentleman and he always says ladies first. So I will go even though I am much younger than him. And I really appreciate that Srila Prabhupada said that, devotees should be perfect gentlemen. I always see that in his behavior. So you're a very good example to emulate. So today's topic is we're going to discuss strengthening faith in the holy name. I think there is some feedback. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I therefore offer my most humble and respectful obeisances unto the dust of his lotus feet. So I thought we'll start off, since the topic is strengthening faith in the holy name, we will first discuss what is meant by faith. How is faith, this Sanskrit term is Shraddha, how is it defined in our Shastra? So there is one reference which is very well known in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's from the Madhya Lila, chapter 22, text 62. And you may know this. I see some nods. Shraddha sabde vishwasa kahe suridra nischaya Krishna bhakti kaila sarva karma krita haya. The translation, Shraddha is confident, firm faith that by rendering transcendental loving service to Krishna, one automatically develops or performs all subsidiary activities such as which are favorable to the discharge of devotional service. There's another definition of faith which is very similar in meaning to the purport here, which Srila Prabhupada gives us in the Bhagavatam in the 4th canto, and I will read that, and you are probably familiar with this verse. Yatha tarod mula nisechanena tripyanti tatskanda bhujo pakshakha pranopaharakcha yathendriyanam tatheva sarvahanam achyuteja. The translation, as pouring water on the root of a tree energizes the trunk, branches, twigs and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and limbs of the body, simply worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service automatically satisfies the demigods who are parts of that Supreme Personality. So, having defined what is faith, the scriptures tell us that there is 2 types of faith, and we have been hearing about faith about the holy name. There is the Shuddha Nam and there is Nam Abhas, right? So faith is also divided into these 2 types. There is pure transcendental faith, Shuddha Bhakti in the holy name, pure chanting of the holy name, and there is the Abhas, or Shraddha Abhas we call it, the semblance of faith in the holy name. The seed of pure transcendental faith is the Bhakti Lata Bij, right? So the Bhakti Lata Bij is basically the instructions that we get from the spiritual master or the Vaishnavas in how to perform our devotional service. And the result of this pure faith is bhakti, pure devotional service or love of God. Now on the other side, we have this semblance of faith which is called a Shraddha Abhas. The seed of this Shraddha Abhas of faith, which is a semblance of the total faith in Krishna, is Abhas Bhakti. In other words, this is devotional service which is mixed with other desires for Gyan, for mystic perfections like that. And the result is Bhakti Abhas, right? So Shraddha Abhas, we will get a semblance of faith, not the real faith. So in our original condition, we have faith in Krishna, pure faith. But when we come into this material world, the living entity comes under the influence of the three modes of material nature. And under the influence of the three modes, we think our original pure faith is transformed just like a mirage, right? In a mirage, we think there is water, that there is substance, but actually it is just a semblance of the actual water which we find. So I was thinking that let us describe what are the characteristics of pure faith and what are the characteristics of faith which is mixed, abhas, shraddha, abhas. And as we go through this, I would like to give you an exercise. When we will first discuss pure faith, and as we go through the characteristics, I would like you to, for your own, let's see, to see where we are at in our devotional service, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 means there is very little or no faith, and 10 means over the top, like that's the maximum I can get. In this, where do I stand in this particular quality? By doing this, we will get a feel, we'll get an understanding of where our devotional service is now. And then a good thing also is when tomorrow you finish the retreat and when you start to share, when there are reflections, the last hour or so, you can look back and see, has there been a shift? Because the idea of the retreat is not just to give information, right? Information you can get by going anywhere. You didn't have to come here. The idea of coming to a retreat is there has to be some transformation of the heart. And if the heart is not transformed by our practices, then we have been amiss. But I feel that, Maharaj has shared so much, the devotees are sharing so much. By doing this simple exercise, we will see, we can gauge how much transformation has occurred. At least when you chant tomorrow, let us see if I have shifted at the end of tomorrow from where I am now to where perfection is, right? Because depending on our strength, the strength of our faith in the holy name, our progress in bhakti is determined, right? So first I will discuss the characteristics of pure faith, transcendental faith. And that has got 5 characteristics. The first one is there is exclusive devotion or dedication to Krishna. We are not dedicated to our job, we are not dedicated to some mundane family, we are not dedicated to some mundane position. There is exclusive dedication to Krishna. So just put down a number where you stand in this line, from 1 to 10. Where do you think? And you only will know where you stand, okay? So first one is dedication, the other one is complete dependence on Krishna, right? Do I depend? I feel I have a bank balance, I'm so strong, my body is powerful, I have a big position, I have so much money. So are those fallible soldiers, do I depend on them? Or do I really depend on Krishna? Where is the barometer, right? Where is my dependence on Krishna? Good. The next one is the trust in scriptures. Do I turn to the scriptures in times of difficulty? Do I turn to the scriptures regularly? Do I consult the scriptures or do I consult the one-eyed guru, the TV, or I consult social media, or I consult people who are, experts in different field? So, where is my trust in scripture? The trust in scripture means, do I regularly read them? Do I study? Do I discuss it? Do I share it with others? Right? So all those things will determine our trust in scripture. How familiar are we with the scripture? Is that a trusted friend? Like we carry our identity wherever we go. Do we carry something in the scripture with us wherever we go? Right? Practical thing. Number 4 is there is a distinct taste for devotion, for devotional service. When I am given the opportunity to do some service, do I take it on as an opportunity or do I see it's a chore? I take it as work which has to be done to earn some bhakti points. Or do I really, I do it with a very, a heart full of love, and I want I do this because I want to please Krishna, right? So in other words, where is my taste? Do I have more taste for devotional service than I have taste for social media, or taste for the movies, or taste for gratifying my senses? Where is my taste? No? And the last one is, number 5, increase strength to practice devotional service. What is my strength? Now, how determined am I? How do I show up when I have to do my devotional practice? Do I show up early in the morning to do my morning prayers? Do I show up for reading the scripture? Do I show up when there's a kirtan? Do I show up when there's an opportunity to render some practical service? Right? So where is my determination? Okay, so this will give us our starting point in terms of pure devotional service, and this is our goal, right? Then we will talk about the characteristics of Abhas, Shraddha Abhas. What are the characteristics of Shraddha Abhas? Now you may say, my goal is pure devotional service. Why the heck do I have to know about impure devotional service, about Bhakta Abhas? There's 2 reasons the Acharyas give us. One is so that we can look out for and also avoid the unwanted things, right? If you know what you need to avoid, it's useful for us. So those things which look like the actual Bhakti Lata Bij, the actual kripa of devotional service, if we don't know what it looks like from the weeds, then we will cultivate the wrong thing, right? So we want to know what, we want to identify those things, and we want to get rid of those things. And the second reason is a little more altruistic, because we want to help those who are not fortunate enough to know about pure faith, and we can guide them to the point where they can come, we can show them the way to pure faith. So that is why we study the other side, which is the Shraddha Abhas. So Shraddha Abhas also has basically like 3 different characteristics. The first one is that one does not properly accept the spiritual master, right? Or does not accept the Bhakti Lata Bij, let's say, right? The Bhakti Lata Bij are the teachings that the spiritual master and the Vaishnavas have given us. But we fail to accept their instructions, or we do not have faith in their instructions. So where do we stand in this aspect? To have faith in the spiritual master. The second one is, we don't water. We have the plant, we have the devotional kripa, but we are not watering it properly, right? Any plant, if we don't water, then it's not going to grow. And the watering process, we know for the Bhakti Lata Bij, is the chanting and hearing of the holy name of Krishna. So that is how we gauge. Am I watering? Am I watering too much? I'm focusing on increasing the number of my rounds, so I can catch up with Shyamsundar Prabhu. But actually, it's just an imitation. I'm just trying to do it, but actually I'm doing it for some other reason, for show. It's imitative and I cannot sustain it. I just get upset when I get to that point. And the third one is, we don't uproot the weeds, the unwanted creepers, right? So we need to identify the weeds, and then we need to get rid of them. So now what are the weeds? These weeds, they masquerade as the actual thing, right? So these we all know, and they are described as 6 unwanted things that we want to get rid of. The first one is nishidhachar, which means unwanted or unacceptable behavior, right? I am not clean in my habits, I am not transparent in my practice of devotional service. So unwanted, poor behavior, improper behavior. The second one is kutinati, diplomatic behavior, politics. So, we speak something and we do something else, right? We are duplicitous. Then jiva himsa, which means, of course, killing animals. I am not sensitive or compassionate to the suffering of others. Jiva himsa also means that we are, if we don't give people, we come in touch with Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita, that's also violence, right? So determined are we to share what we know with others and take away their pain. Then the 3, labh, right? Labha means mundane profiteering. If I am known as a good devotee, I will attract so many followers. I'll get a position and I'll be very popular. I can increase the number of followers on social media. So profiteering. Am I doing devotional service because it inflates my false ego? Right? So labh, the next one is puja, right? Adoration. People will worship me. They will take me as an authority in devotional service. But actually, all I am doing is fake, right? And then the last one is pratishta, that is mundane popularity. I will be established as a very well-known person. So give yourself scores for these ones and just add them up so we know, the score is we may be very strong in some areas and weak in others, but this is just because we are on a retreat and we are taking time to take inventory of where our consciousness is. This will help us actually gauge where we stand, and also will identify areas for us to improve on, and as we go through the retreat. Now, we said that if we know where we are and where we are going throughout this retreat, we are receiving so many instructions, so many gems that we can take with us, which will help us move from where we are to where we want to go. And according to the strength and the purity of our faith, like we said, we will advance in devotional service. So depending on our faith in the holy name, we will advance. For those of us, for me, I chant to achieve love of God, like I'm a beginner. But for those who are perfected devotees, for them, chanting is the love of God is that it impels them to chant the holy name. So there is a difference. So we want to get to that point where we are so much attached or attracted to the holy name that we want to improve that relationship with the holy name, and identify that actually the holy name is the basis of our spiritual life. In every practice of devotional service, every limb, whether we do deity worship, we do book distribution, with any service we do, it is always accompanied by the chanting of this holy name, by this holy name. So if we strengthen this foundation, then we will we will have a good way to leap forward in our Krishna consciousness. Therefore, it's important for us to take inventory of where we are now and then use the tools that we have. So this is a how-to, right? Strengthening the holy name, how-to question, like Ramapa Swami says. So basically, just to summarize, from reflecting on what we have done so far, we say that some of the keys, which I will not speak about because we've got 2 other speakers, I just will set the foundation, is, we have to regularly chant, right? And then study and teach and hear the sacred scriptures, sadhu sangha. We have to do our chanting in a mood of service and surrender and dependence on Krishna and the holy name, with prayer, right, in a mood of humility, and practice devotional service and live a life which is conducive to our devotional service, which means maybe take on some austerities so our life is simple, we cultivate the qualities of gravity, satisfaction, and then we make our place of residence a holy place, or we visit the temple regularly, and then whatever we have learned, if we share and teach others, it solidifies those principles within our heart. So now that we have taken inventory of where we are, I guess next Vatsal Prabhu will speak about the next subject. Hare Krishna. I guess we'll take questions at the end. That will be easier.
The next subject? I thought we were all the same subject. Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimrandasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Jai Prabhupada. So, in a nutshell, we're talking about building faith in the holy name. So there's an introduction to the Krishna book that I think was written by George Harrison, right? And in there he says that the proof of the pudding is in the eating. The proof of the pudding is in the eating, right? Yes? It's already blowing my ears out. So Hare Krishna. Okay, so in the introduction to the Krishna book, it says that the proof of the pudding is in the eating, right? You all understand that? No? Proof of the pudding is in the eating. So what it means is that if you want to know what the pudding's like, you have to eat it, right? Or there's we also gave that example of the honey, right? If you want to know what the honey is like, you have to stick your finger in it and taste some. You can't just look at it from the outside because you'll end up speculating. So, in order to build faith in the holy name, you have to chant it. You have to chant it. When it's time to chant Japa, you have to chant. When you're doing kirtan, then you have to sing. And this is going to develop your faith in the holy name because there'll be a result from that activity. There'll be a direct result, right? So other than that, you can build your faith by hearing Shravanam Kirtanam, is hearing especially from the devotees in our line of disciplic succession. Srila Prabhupada said that this moving started by his chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. He said, I went to the park, Thompson Square Park in New York, and I sat down and I chanted Hare Krishna. And that's why this is here now. That's why we're all here now, is because Prabhupada went. He had so much faith in the holy name. If he said, if I just sit down here in this horrible place of New York City and chant Hare Krishna, all of the visions that he had. Remember, he sat down on a park bench and talked to a man and told him how there's hundreds of temples. And this was before, just as Prabhupada was getting started. And he told him all these things that were going to happen. And so that all came from him just having so much faith in the holy name that he thought, I'll just sit down here and chant Hare Krishna. And everything will come from that. And he said everything did come from that. So many times Prabhupada would tell devotees that, Prabhupada, what can I do about this? What can I do about that? He said, chant Hare Krishna. You have to chant Hare Krishna. If you chant sincerely, then everything will be all right. Right? Jadharani asked Prabhupada, how can I become a better painter? He didn't tell her to go to school for art. He said, chant Hare Krishna. So we can, by hearing from him and hearing of all of these antidotes, what do they call it? Antidotes or stories that Prabhupada would discuss with his devotees, then we can get faith in the holy name because he had faith. He can give us faith. Then we can also know that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he was brilliant. If you've ever read like you read the Brahma Samhita, pretty much the only thing that most devotees have read is the Brahma Samhita where Bhaktisiddhanta gave purports. And but he, although he's so brilliant that, thank you. I had that was mine already. Thank you. I guess I don't look right without that on, huh? Do I look better with this on? Thank you. So he was so brilliant that people were afraid to walk on the same side of the street because he might defeat them in some philosophy. And he did defeat people in philosophy. He was called the Shringa Guru, the Lion Guru. But still, he decided that he was just going to sit down and chant Hare Krishna 1 billion names. So for 9 years plus, all he did was chant Hare Krishna all the time. So by that example, we can see this man is so above and beyond my intelligence, but still he's taking full shelter of the holy name of Krishna. Wouldn't that give us faith? Right, we have faith in material personalities when they become very rich. If we want to get some money, we seek out their pastimes, their activities. How did they become so rich? That's what all these guys that advertise on the internet, I became rich like this, I'll teach you how. So he's trying to build your faith in him. So the acharyas in our line of succession have performed so many activities that can spur or spawn faith in us for the holy name. Then we have Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's father, who wrote so many songs about the holy name. And what was his aspiration? That he just wanted the chanting of the holy name to continue on, that he just wanted the holy name to fill his mouth. All of these things, that he just wanted the holy name to be spread all over the universe. We even have the song Narada Muni Bhajai Vina Radhika Ramana. That in that song it describes how Lord Brahma was coming to the kirtan and he's chanting Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Everyone chant Hare Krishna. The whole universe, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, was overwhelmed with the vibration of the holy name. We have the ladies in Lord Chaitanya's time. After Lord Chaitanya was born, he would take to crying as a regular thing, and the only thing that would stop him from crying was the people chanting Hare Krishna. So all of these activities can spur faith give us faith in the holy name, because they all concern the holy name and they all concern the devotees of Krishna and Krishna, the Supreme Personality. But the real thing is that we have to do it. As everybody's been describing, Shyamasundar Prabhu, and Mother Guru Bhakti and Brahmapad Swami and everybody you read about, they'll describe, well, there's a process for chanting, and so we have to do it. That's all, we have to do it. There's another song that Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, Vacho Vachaka, Vacha o Vachaka Dui. He describes that there's two forms of Krishna, the Vacha and the Vachaka. Vacha is the form of his holy name. The holy name is Krishna. When you say Hare Krishna, there's Radha Krishna. That's not different. Prabhupada, we just read this purport of Prabhupada's the other day at home. He just keeps saying that, back and forth. Okay, Hare Krishna, that's Radha Krishna. Yes, that's not different. Hare Krishna, that's Hare Ram, that's Radha Krishna. So it's Radha Krishna. Prabhupada said, when you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna dances on your tongue. So in this song, the Vacha, that's the form of Krishna, the holy name. And then we have the form of Krishna, like Nilamadhava. That's Krishna, not different from Krishna. Supreme Personality of Godhead, standing right here before us. But of the two forms of Krishna, Rupa Goswami says the Vacha is the most merciful. So we're talking about this necessary ingredient in making advancement is mercy. So how do you get the mercy? By chanting Hare Krishna, because now you're associating with the most merciful form of Krishna, the Hare Krishna mantra. Why? Because the holy name, although there are offenses to the holy name, Rupa Goswami says that if you chant with faith, he's not accepting these offenses. Whereas if you commit offenses to the personal form of Krishna, the only way to get rid of those offenses is to chant the holy name. So everything comes back to the holy name. That we just have to do it, we just have to chant. And as Shama Sundar Prabhu lays out this schedule, so that, in other words, if you go to bed late, then you can't get up early. And if you can't get up early, then you get up late. And so then the sun's already up. And now the mode of passion is permeating the atmosphere. And it becomes much more difficult because now you have things to do and this to do and that to do. So we by setting priorities, then we can do what we need to do in order to build faith in that, what we need to do. I sound like Kamala Harris a little bit, huh? So, yeah, we have to make it a priority to chant the holy name, and that will give us faith. It's amazing. We make a priority to have a regular program that, and I think Shama Sundar Prabhu said this, that in the evening we're thinking, okay, I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm going to chant Hare Krishna. So we get up in the morning and we say, okay, yeah, I got to get up and chant Hare Krishna, because if I don't, then I'll miss that opportunity and my day will go by, and before you know it, I won't have done that. Yeah. So that's it. We just have to set this priority to make it in our schedule to chant Hare Krishna. And of course, if we can't do that, then we just have to try to fill in wherever we can with it, because Prabhupada says you can chant Hare Krishna walking down the road. You can chant Hare Krishna riding in the bus. You can chant Hare Krishna anywhere. You can be in the bathroom chanting Hare Krishna. The holy name is nothing can contaminate the holy name. So you can chant Hare Krishna everywhere. And when we think like that and we do like that, then our faith develops. But if we don't chant, then how can we say, how do we get faith? How do we have faith? So we have to realize, we have to take a leap of faith. Did you ever hear that? We take a leap of faith, right? We take a leap of faith and say, okay, maybe I don't have faith in this chanting Hare Krishna, but I'm going to try it anyway, because this devotee said, this man says it, right? And so we have faith in them, right? We have faith in Prabhupada. Prabhupada had a way of instilling faith. Even you didn't know what faith was. You just immediately thought, oh, I should follow him. Right? When we came to, in those days we came to Krishna consciousness, we didn't know anything. I mean, most of you here are from a cultural background that has Krishna in it. So we didn't have anything like that. So we had to meet Prabhupada, and so then we said, okay, we have to chant Hare Krishna. And then everything comes out of that. Now there's so many devotees that know about Krishna and know so much. And their faith is strong, and they carry on in Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada said it's a gradual process, but it can take place in a moment. But generally speaking, it's over a period of time. So we are both enthusiastic and patient at the same time. If we're just enthusiastic, we get in a mode of passion and we lose sight of the goal. If we're just patient, then we become lethargic and end up missing the goal. So we have to have both of those things at the same time. Patience that Krishna's mercy is there, and that we should expect his mercy because he's always emanating this mercy, and the mercy of the devotees. Prabhupada's mercy was for everyone because it was Krishna's mercy, and Krishna's mercy is for everyone. And he just was delivering it, spreading, giving it out. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is Krishna, Namo Mahavadanaya. He is the most merciful incarnation of Krishna because he's simply bestowing love of Godhead freely. Even the tiger in Jarikhanda, he kicked him and said, "Wake up, get up, chant Hare Krishna." And the tiger got up and started to chant Hare Krishna. He instilled instant faith in a tiger. Hare Krishna. So we just have to do it, and then the faith will come. Just have enough faith to chant, even just one time. It'll change our life for sure. Hare Krishna. Hare.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripasindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. So firstly, it's a great honor to speak in front of Radha Nila Madhav and the senior devotees assembled here, Vatsal Prabhu, Guru Bhakti Mataji, Shyamsundar Prabhu and others. I seek all of your prayers and blessings. I know somebody else was supposed to be here on this seat today. I think all of you know that. But somehow Nityananda Pran Prabhu could not make it. So here I am. But I'm happy to have this opportunity. So the topic is strengthening the faith in the holy name. So I got notice last night that I should prepare, that I might be a part of the panel discussion. So I've been contemplating at least for the last 12 hours about this topic. So there are three words in this topic that needs attention, or that caught my attention. First is, of course, faith. Guru Bhakti Mataji already wonderfully explained that word, faith. And then the other two words are, of course, the holy name and strengthening. So Vatsal Prabhu also very beautifully explained already how we can strengthen the faith in the holy name by actually engaging in chanting the holy names. But anyway, so I'll try to tie all of this together. So firstly, faith. One other verse that is there in scriptures, in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, text 16, it's a very famous verse. Shushusho Shaddadanasya Vasudeva Katharuchihi Shan Mahatsevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. So in this verse there is one word called Shraddhadanasya. So the Acharyas explain that in brief, because we don't have much time, in brief this word Shraddhadana means faith in four things, four aspects. One is, of course, faith in Krishna, God. Second is faith in the process of bhakti. Third is faith in the people, in the saints who deliver bhakti. And of course, fourth is the holy names or Srimad Bhagavatam, like that. So, Shraddhadhana means having full faith in these four aspects. And as Prabhu was mentioning, if we are lacking in any one of them, it will not do. Of course, when we begin anywhere, like Prabhu was mentioning, they didn't know anything about anything, out of humility he was sharing. But Srila Prabhupada, he left Vrindavan and he came to the West and he brought the holy names of Krishna. And so they had implicit faith in Srila Prabhupada, in the sadhu. And then from associating with that sadhu, and because of his unflinching faith in the holy name, as Mataji mentioned, that seed of pure faith, it got transplanted or it got awakened in the hearts of Srila Prabhupada's disciples. Prabhupada said in his opening address after the Romping Square Park Kirtan, he said, I have not come here to teach you anything new. I have come here to remind you what you have forgotten. Yeah. So this pure faith, as Mataji was mentioning, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions, now still on the topic of faith. So this faith is there in two conditions. Faith is concomitant with the soul. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in Bhakti Loka, it cannot be separated from the soul. And in its pure state, in its original state, it is pure. But by the association of the modes of material nature, the faith gets contaminated. This is detailedly described in 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna is asking Krishna about the divisions of faith. So again, so faith by nature is pure. You can read the purport, 17th chapter, text 3. So faith by nature is pure. Originally it's pure. But somehow when we turn our attention away from Krishna, then we are influenced with the three modes of material nature. And then there is faith in the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. But pure faith, the transcendental faith, as Mataji and Prabhu mentioned, it is not something that you go and buy in the marketplace. It's sort of the proprietorship of the pure devotees of the Lord. So they have it. They have it in their heart and they are happy to give it to others. Yeah. So references, there are many references, but 241, Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita, Shraddha Shabde Vishwasa Kahe. You can read that purport. And then this 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita about faith. Then coming to the holy names. So of course the holy names are also many, right? But Krishna's holy names, there are primary names of Krishna, there are secondary names of Krishna, so there are unlimited holy names. But as we also chant in the 10 offenses against the holy name, to consider the names of the demigods like Lord Shiva and Brahma to be equal to or independent of the names of Lord Vishnu is an offense. So not all holy names are the same either. So especially in this Sangha, particularly in this Gaudiya Vaishnava Sangha, so we are specifically talking about the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Having specifically faith in that. And this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, again, coming to Shraddhadhana, so this Hare Krishna Mahamantra is quoted in the scriptures. This is not something that Srila Prabhupada or Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pulled out from the sky. It is there in the scriptures. Iti Sodashaka Namanam Kali Kalmasha Nashanam Sarve Vedeshu Drishyate Nata Paratara Uparayet. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So these 16 word holy name is mentioned in the scriptures. Similarly, Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama Eva Kevalam. So there are scriptures, then the saints are repeating what the scriptures are saying, and then the Supreme Lord himself, he comes to inaugurate the Yuga Dharma. So all indications are there that in this age of Kali, this Yuga Dharma is Nama Sankirtan, chanting of the holy names. And then how does one strengthen it? If we talk about the word strengthening it, then as Prabhu was mentioning, firstly, it's somehow to receive that gift, Adar Shraddha we can say. So somehow or the other, just have some faith. I don't fully know everything, but I have faith in this sadhu, so I will chant the holy name. That. And then as Prabhu was mentioning, and when one chants the holy name, then there is an experience. I'm not talking about hair standing on end and all that. Those are symptoms of purity that will come with purity. But our life begins to become, purer, we can see the effects of chanting the holy names. So when we act on faith, right, when we act on faith, as Prabhu was mentioning, when we act on faith, it strengthens. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in Bhakti Loka that the life of bhakti is faith, but the life of faith is enthusiasm. Utsahan nishchayat dhairyat tat tat karma pravartanat. So again, the life of bhakti is faith. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that Shraddha to Prema can also be explained as maturing of faith. That which is very soft and pliable in the beginning, by properly and carefully nurturing it and watering it and taking the association of sadhus, that faith becomes firm faith. So that is Prema, that. So I suddenly lost my train of thought. Say that again? Yeah, thank you. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions that the life of bhakti, or the engine that runs bhakti is faith. The motor that runs bhakti is faith. And behind faith is enthusiasm. Or said another way, inertia and faith, he says they go ill together. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that is not faith. Faith which has no enthusiasm has no meaning. So then enthusiasm means then tat tat karma pravartanat sato vrite, meaning following in the footsteps of the acharyas. One is enthusiastic to follow in the footsteps of the acharyas. So in this way, when we act on faith in the holy names, then our faith grows. I can share some stories from our acharyas. Once Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Navadvip, he had become a devotee, and he was ready to inaugurate the chanting of the holy names. And he could see that many other things were also going on at that time. And so he was getting a little anxious that if we don't spread the holy name, then what will happen to those people? So he was encouraging many of his followers to chant, to preach also. So one such devotee his name was Saranga Murari. Saranga Thakur, anyway, Saranga Thakur is here. Saranga Thakur had a disciple called Murari. And so Mahaprabhu was encouraging him that he should preach. And at the insistence of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, sure. He said, the first person that I will meet tomorrow morning, I will initiate him into the chanting of the holy names. I said, okay. So then this early in the morning, Saranga Murari, he goes to take a bath in the Ganges nearby. And then somehow when he takes a bath in the Ganges, so a dead corpse it comes and hits him. In the Vedic culture, if a child dies very young, to a certain age, he's not cremated, but he's sort of, immersed in the Ganges. So this young boy's body, it came and touched him. And then, of course, Saranga Murari had given a word that he would, the first person he met tomorrow, he would chant, initiate him into the chanting of the holy names. So he uttered the holy name into the body of this boy, and the boy came back to life. So of course we are not Saranga Murari, but the boy comes back to life. And then upstream, the parents hear that our son has come back to life. So obviously they come and they try to get the son. And like we hear in Srimad Bhagavatam, the boy speaks philosophy. He said, which father, which mother? I've had so many fathers and mothers. And then he says that this is actually Saranga Murari who has given me this life. He is my father now. Like that. So our acharyas had such strong faith. Bhakti, Jagadananda Das Babaji Maharaj, he had a servant called Bihari Lal. And as we know in Mayapur, from time to time, Mayapur would be flooded. And so one such occasion, there was a flood and there was nothing to eat. And Bihari was getting concerned that, he wanted to make something for his master, Jagadananda Das Babaji Maharaj. And Jagadananda Das Babaji Maharaj told him, just chant the holy names. Take a pair of kartals and chant the holy names. And then as he was chanting, it is mentioned that, a boatload of prasadam, which had like rasgullas and all those things, Bengali sweets, they all came. Anyway, the holy name is Chintamani, it's a touchstone, it can give us anything. But it is also important to consider what is it that we want from the holy name. Like Gopakumar's story, it's a beautiful pastime. You can read Brihad Bhagavatamrita, how literally he receives a mantra from his guru. He doesn't have the full understanding of it, but he sees that this mantra is very powerful. Whatever sankalpa he makes, the mantra gives him that. But even after he gets that sankalpa, he feels dissatisfied. And then what Maharaj quoted this morning, he feels that how can I leave this mantra without receiving the full benefit, without receiving the full fruit of it. So he keeps chanting, and then he goes to the next, like that, next to the next, till he gets to the lotus feet of Krishna. So these holy names, Namachintamani Krishna, it is a touchstone. It can give us anything that we want. And it is so simple that, as Prabhu mentioned, this Krishna consciousness is so simple that we can miss it. So in this holy name, there is everything. It depends what we want out of the holy name. So anyway, so we'll pause there. And so again, the main point is focus on these three words: strengthening, faith, and the holy names. And evaluate, we can evaluate ourselves, as Mataji was mentioning, whether our faith is pure or Shraddha Abhas, all those things. So we'll pause there and see if there are any questions. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Or anything anybody wants to share also is welcome. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. I have a question for all of you about Japa. When we chant Japa, we take initiation and we take our vows to chant 16 rounds a day. And then Prabhupada would always say, if you miss your rounds, then you make them up the next day. So I think about it often because Many of us have missed rounds because of health or situations or something happened. So we have all these rounds, at least I do, all these rounds piled up. And when I chant my rounds for the day, I'm thinking, okay, I've got today's rounds done, but what about all the others that I missed? Because Nama, the holy name is Nama Prabhu. He's a person. And so I'm thinking, I feel really guilty that I missed rounds, so I'm thinking, what's the solution? Do we make a plan to chant like 5 extra rounds a day to try to make up those? I mean, not to be fanatical or anything, but be practical, because Krishna's a person, and we made a vow to him and to our Guru. Thank you. And all of you could answer, please.
I'll just tell you the example from His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj. Whenever someone had stopped chanting their rounds, he would ask them if someone had completely stopped, not in your case that make up, if they had stopped and they did not keep track, if you kept track. That his example came to my mind. He would tell them, okay, how many rounds can you chant starting today? So then they would fix a number. So then he would say, okay, you start chanting 4 rounds or 6 rounds. And then every Ekadashi, you can go up by a round. And that's how you catch up, like you go back to chanting. So, and in those instances where where people said that they miss rounds, from what I remember, he would just say that you make them up. And then your question becomes, how do you make them up? So you can, one way, like you said, is just chant some extra rounds on every day. Or if there's a special occasion, then the mercy of that particular day, or mercy of that particular acharya will also give us impetus to catch up or do extra rounds. Also, when you come to this situation like a retreat, you'll chant many extra rounds, so that's also a way. He did not always tell people to make up those rounds though, but it was case by case. So that's the experience I have.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so one way to, here's the situation, is that you've figured that you've missed so many rounds over so many years, but you don't know how many that is, right? So how to make that up? But I was thinking of it like in marriage, the husband and wife may have a fight, may have a big problem day, but then they go to bed, and the Prabhupada said, you go to bed, you don't take that with you, you don't carry that with you. The next day, everything starts fresh again. Otherwise, you carry all this stuff within your heart and all this stuff, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. So you start fresh. I'll tell you, one story is Prabhupada, there was a devotee way back in the 1960s. He spent 6 years living in Ban Maharaj's ashram. And he was initiated by Prabhupada. He was in India before any devotees of Western devotees were there. So he ended up staying in Ban Maharaj's house. He learned Hindi, he learned Bengali, he learned everything. He learned all the scriptures, everything. And then he came back to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada gave him sannyas, just like that. He said, oh, you already know everything, I'll give you sannyas. So then it happened that he had to leave India, and he ended up in this place, because in the 6 years he lived in Maharaj, he never had a passport. He came to India, his passport expired all that time, because he never left the ashram that much, or never left India. And so then it came that he had to leave that place, and then he ended up in some small town, and he ended up falling down with having a girlfriend, and this and that, and falling down. He wrote Prabhupada. And Prabhupada wrote him back. And Prabhupada said, okay, now you're in household life, now you take care of your household life, you chant 16 rounds a day, follow the 4 eagle principles. He didn't chastise him for anything. He didn't get, oh, you fell down, you nonsense, or anything like that. He just said, now carry on. And Prabhupada was always like that. There are other sannyasis that fell down in our movement, and Prabhupada said, okay, now you're a householder. Now carry on with your devotional service. So, you you got to start the day with, I'm carrying on. And if you feel like you have to make up rounds, then you figure that out. You say, okay, I'll chant 2 extra rounds a day. I'll chant 18 a day. I'll chant 20 a day. I'll chant 24 on Ekadasi. Or I'll go to all the Japa retreats and chant 64 every time I go. And then, and then you'll, but don't be always thinking, well, I have to make up these rounds. No, we just have to chant Hare Krishna in the prescribed method.
Well, it also brings to mind when Srila Prabhupada, I remember I was 19 and I was living in the Toronto temple. And Srila Prabhupada, he would give his lectures, and then some very smart people would copy them on cassette tapes and then send them to all the different temples so we would hear what Prabhupada was saying. So one day he said, all right, I want you all to go to Mangalarti. He said, and if you miss Mangalarti, he said, then you must sell a Krishna book. And so the devotees were like, and then he said, is that all right? So Prabhupada's this pure devotee, and he told us, if you miss Mangalarti, you distribute a Krishna book. So I think about that a lot too, because a lot of Krishna books need to be distributed from me. But I just thought of that because he was giving the direction of how important sadhana was. And so I was just thinking about that, He said it, I remember it, and I always think about it. Not always, but, because in our youth, we attended Mangalarti all the time. I mean, we were like clockwork. We did the morning program, we did Mangalarti, and then we would go out and distribute books on Yonge Street for like a year. And this was our life. So Mangalarti was essential. So essential that Prabhupada said, if you miss it, you have to distribute one of my Krishna books. I just wanted to mention that.
Can I say something? Yeah, thank you. Just on that, firstly, thank you for asking that question. Yeah, I mean, one of the favorite things that I like to do is watch memories of Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada, of course, when he was on the Vyasasan, Prabhupada would speak, and in one way. But as Prabhu was mentioning, and as you are mentioning, when it came to personally dealing with his disciples one-on-one, Prabhupada would be very aware of their time, place, and circumstances, and he would, always be compassionate. Similarly, about this missing of these rounds, I have seen how my spiritual master, His Holiness Rampad Maharaj, has dealt with that. It happens for many reasons, but one reason that it happens is when women, they get pregnant and then they have babies, and the whole life goes upside down. And of course, one would think it goes only upside down for the lady, but actually it goes upside down for the men also. And so in such circumstances, some of the ladies would fall behind. And as Prabhu was mentioning, what is most important is to not live, with those secondary feelings of guilt and things like that, as Prabhu was mentioning. And then, because that leads to, further destabilization. Instead of that, I've seen at least I have encouraged when, as a counselor, when devotees like come to me with such situations, I ask them to write to the spiritual master. Because when we begin to hide, that's when we get in trouble. But if it is an open relationship and you share with your spiritual master that this is the situation, so there is a relationship there. And then the spiritual master, he has taken the vows, so if he wants to offer some concession, he can do that. So anyway, so long story short, to keep that openness with the spiritual master in all circumstances and not hide and take, go to him and share, open our heart. Thank you. And just one other thing, and I've seen, even with respect to the holy name, my experience over the years has been, like I was in a Japa retreat 2 weeks ago, Festival of the Holy Name, 4th of July in Chicago. The holy name is very, very merciful. Krishna is very, very merciful. And as Prabhu was mentioning, I've experienced that Krishna is always dealing with me in the present. He doesn't care, okay, where were you in the last week or last month? What happened? Okay, you're here now, let's go. So the holy name is very merciful. And from that perspective, as Prabhu is mentioning, I'm not saying don't keep track or don't try to make up, but from today, if I'm there with the holy name, Krishna is there to walk with us. And this is what even Guruji and Prabhu mentions in a way, practically, chant this mantra. I can only chant this current mantra that I'm chanting, that I'm sure Shyamsundar Prabhu is talking about that. I can't chant, the 1,000 rounds that I missed or the 1,000 rounds that I'm going to chant. But I'm committed to being with Krishna now and here. I think that's all we can do. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Can you recount a time that you struggled with your own personal faith and how you overcame it? Anybody in particular?
Can you repeat the question? I didn't get some words.
If you can recount a time that you struggled with the faith and how you came to overcome the situation.
So specifically faith in the holy name? Or
Yes.
faith in...
I can share, but go ahead. Yeah. Well, the way I have dealt with Krishna is very merciful again. There are 9 processes of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. And then Rupa Goswami also mentions that there are 5 most potent items of devotional service, right? The holy names, chanting the Nam, Dham, Bhagavatam, deity and devotee. And over the years, I can say that, I think my weakest link is the chanting of the holy names. I'll be honest to admit that. And somehow I feel that, I'm riding on, sort of Vaishnava Seva. That sort of, Vaishnava Seva and hearing Krishna Katha from saints. So if I find myself lacking, if my faith or my practice even in the chanting of the holy name, I can see it going down, I try to, intensify or amplify the other angas of devotional service. Understand? So I'll hear more about the holy name, or I'll hear just Krishna Katha, or I'll serve the Vaishnavas. And then I've seen that somehow that, brings up things. So devotional service is variegated. Essentially, if our faith is lacking in one of the aspects of devotional service, find something in devotional service that you have faith in or you have attraction for, put all your energy there, borrow strength from there, admit to the Vaishnavas and, do that. That's what I've done without getting into the details. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, while I was, thank you so much for all the instructions for how to improve the faith. While I was contemplating on what I received now, I was thinking that for so many lifetimes, we have conquered so much of material desires and have so much anarthas that our Shraddha is, at least my Shraddha is definitely mixed with so much of material desires and all the impurities, that it's definitely Shraddha Bhas to the very low level. How do I get rid of those and come to the level of Shraddha and not be at Shraddha Bhas?
If I understand you correctly, you're saying that you have all these impurities, and how do you get rid of them? Well, that's what we're doing here. We're chanting Hare Krishna. Just like the Kaliya serpent, right? Kaliya serpent, he's behind you there. See him back there? What's Krishna doing? He's dancing on his heads. And then what happens as a result of that? He spits up all his poison. So that's just like what's happening. When we request Krishna to dance on our tongue by chanting Hare Krishna, then all of these things come up. So now we just have to see that we don't continue developing all those bringing those poisons back into the body. Just like when you're sick, you have to take the medicine, but then there's also probably a diet or a lifestyle that you have to go along with that, because just the medicine may not, that'll help, but if you just say, well, I can eat anything I want because I'm taking the medicine, then that may reduce the potency of the medicine. Or if you just, I'll do whatever I want, I'll stay up all night and party or whatever, and I got the medicine. But it's not like that. It's a whole process. And that's a natural thing. We're all going through that. Prabhu was asking about faith. What do we do when our faith is small or less? I think that's a constant thing. I know with me it's a constant thing. Because if I had pure faith, then it would be just like walking. We don't have to think about it. We don't have to think. We just have so much faith that the earth is going to be there under our feet that we just do it. Then we even run. How much faith does it take? But it's unconscious faith. So if we hesitate to do it, then that means we're hesitating in our faith. Just like every morning, your alarm clock goes off and you say, oh, geez, I'm really tired. I need 5-10 more minutes. It happens all the time. And that means our faith is not strong enough. So it's but then we just do it anyway. We just did. That's when, as Shyamasundar Prabhu was describing how Bhaktisiddhanta said, beat your mind with a shoe, beat your mind with a stick. This mind is like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, can be our best friend or our worst enemy. So we got to be on top of it. It's like the car. If you don't pay attention, in 2 seconds you'll end up in the ditch, right? You can. I know when I drive Kimberly's car, the thing keeps saying, oh, you need a coffee break. Because it has something when you drive off, out of the lane, it says beep, 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 you need a coffee break. It means you're not paying attention, get back in your lane. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much to the panel giving us so many insights and realizations. This question is specific to Her Grace Guru Bhakti Mataji. The 5 characteristics of pure faith that you mentioned, Mataji. Exclusive dedication, dependence on Krishna, trust in scriptures, distinct taste for service opportunities, and increased strength to practice devotional service. It looks, my understanding was it somewhat have parallels with the Saranagati principles of surrender, but my heart sank when I looked at the list. You know where I stand. So my question is there any one principle of this that I can really focus on that can increase this, the aspects of other limbs of this?
Is there anyone? You know, the remedy for lacking in any of it is just that you continue the process. If we continue the process and beg for the Lord's mercy, then we can improve on any of those. And the first step is to identify, like we identified that there's a problem. If we don't identify the problem, we cannot fix it. So once we identify the problem, then we will start to think about what we can change to increase it. So now we catch ourselves doing the wrong thing, depending on something else instead of Krishna, then we can make that small adjustment. And I don't agree that you don't have, that you don't have that faith, but I think just creating, when you create an awareness, then we will be able to eliminate those things. So, and the process, what does it say? If our chanting is not proper, the remedy is more chanting. And when we say more chanting, means not just quantity, it cannot be imitative, but we can also work on the quality. Like focus on each name, focus on, if that's the goal, to focus on each name, and then what will we change around us so that we can get that focus. Maybe, getting more sleep, or getting better association, or like reading things, or sadhu sangha may be also an aspect that we need to improve on, which will help us if we associate with those who have more faith. Like Ramapat Swami says, right? The prescription is that sadhu sangha with devotees who have that faith. And that will increase, will help us go to that platform. And I think we all have experience of that when we are around people who have embodied that particular quality, we also get that quality, or we have that impetus to move forward. Is that okay? We can ask Vatsal Prabhu, he's got a lot of experience, and Jagadananda Prabhu.
Is there any one aspects of this that we can focus on that could sort of feed into the other principles and strengthen the other principles too, or it's going to be done, all 5 are important? So
I think it boils down in Sharanagati also, the 2 principles is always remember Krishna and never forget him. So that's the golden rule, right? Let's see what we can do to always remember Krishna and not to forget him. And I think that could be the barometer to see, okay, like what I need to do. Prabhu, would you like to add or some more wisdom?
I don't know, it's all so technical to me. I'm not very much of a technocrat. I mean, I just think that it's like a boat. We have to stay on the boat. Everything is there. The sails are there. There's other passengers on the boat. There's a captain of the boat. There's favorable breezes that blow. But if we don't stay on the boat, none of that will have any effect on us. We have to stay on the boat. And the boat is this ISKCON movement, Prabhupada's movement, and this chanting of Hare Krishna. The favorable breezes are the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita. The captain of the boat is Prabhupada. And then there are other first mates that are maybe our guru, the first mate. And there's other devotees, there's president of the temple, there's other good friends that we have as devotees. They're all on the boat. If we don't stay on it, we're not going to get to where the boat's going. Simple as that. Now, in that, as we go in the boat, then there are all these technical things that we can, adjust our position on the boat with.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I'm not much of a technical guy. Get caught up in it.
Just one last
Yes,
thing.
ma'am.
So I have a question for Vatsal Prabhu. How do we stay on the boat? What's the secret to staying on the boat?
Humility, I think, has to be the key to staying on the boat. Even understand what the boat is, and then with humility, continue to stay on the boat. I don't know what people always ask me, how do you stay married so long? I've been married 55 years, and it's hard for me to tell. It's just, you have to credit your wife, because Prabhupada said that's what keeps the marriage together, the wife. So we have to give some kind of credit to everybody, give credit to the association of devotees. If we keep ourselves free of offenses to devotees, then we can stay on the boat. Otherwise, the first mate or the captain or somebody in charge is going to say, "You got to get out of here. You have to get off the boat." So, and being, not committing offenses means you have to be humble. Because as soon as you're not humble, then you begin to commit offenses. So I think that's at least one key, one important key. And to commit to the process that Prabhupada has given to us, because I think that's the underlying strength of the boat, you might say, the structure of the boat. And what keeps the boat afloat is this process of Shravanam, Kirtanam, and association on a daily basis. Even if you're not near a temple. Yeah. Prabhupada described how a family should get together in the morning and the evening and chant Hare Krishna. And have some little deities and get the whole family to engage in that worship. And so that's in the boat, to me, that's the structure of the boat. Strength of the boat.
Just one last thing. This question is still ringing in my head. It's a very nice question about personal challenges in faith. That was your question, right? Yeah. On further reflection, there may be actually Hridaya Daurbalyam. You follow? It may not be that our faith is weak. Our faith is still okay, strong, but there is weakness of heart. Like as Prabhu was mentioning, when the alarm bell rings, I have faith that doing Mangalarti is good, but there is weakness of heart. Or there is some inertia, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur was saying, faith without enthusiasm sort of has no meaning. Or faith and inertia go ill together. Or faith and Hridaya Daurbalyam, they go ill together. What I'm saying is sometimes we can just say that, I don't have enough faith. You follow? So it can be like a smoke screen, but actually it may not be a lack of faith. We may have to take some practical steps. There may be weakness of heart. There may be some steps that we need to take, which we are not taking. It may be that. So we just have to understand things properly, clearly. Also, yeah, thank you.